Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Decoding Call Numbers and Navigating the Library presentation. So this is a part of the academic adulting series we have every Friday at noon. And while today I am going to teach you how to read a call number and dissect it and make sure you understand it, this is also about how to navigate the library physically and its online web space, so you can actually find your materials that you're looking for. So hopefully you can, see my screen. I'm sharing it. And I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Lexi Smith. I'm the humanities librarian here at the university libraries. I'm actually a part of a team of librarians where our whole purpose, our whole mission is to serve you, to serve students. We're here to instruct. We're here to help you with any research projects that you have. So if you walk away with nothing else today, hopefully you know that we're here for you. And I'm going to show you how you can contact us in just a moment. Okay, there we go. So where to start? Of course, we want to start at the library. Oops. Can you see that? How it switched to the home page? I just want to be sure. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so front and center, we have the star of the show, library search. I'm not gonna go into that right just yet because I want to show you some other really important things that are kind of easy to find on this homepage. Because we're about more than just searching for books, right? So we have our handy dandy tabs here. We have the databases, journals. What I really want to highlight though is our course and subject guides. Because the librarians, make course and subject guides, and they can be specific to certain classes. So for example, I'm in charge of the humanities, so I have like English, language, literatures, and linguistics. So I have a LibGuide specifically for English 1100, which is literary interpretation. But I also have just a broad LibGuide on English literature and literary criticism. And these are public. So anybody who comes to this homepage can view these. We have hundreds of them. And they're updated. We try to keep up on them as often as possible. So if you ever have something research related, maybe you're in, an engineering class. Let's say you're in IEE 1020. There's a specific course guide for this class, and it's here to help you. And it will always have the librarian's information that goes along with that subject. So for example, engineering librarian is Ed Eckel, and he has buttons here where you can email him or make an appointment. So there's lots of different subjects that these cover too. It's not just courses, but it's subjects as well. And I just really like to highlight that because not everybody knows that they're there, but they're really fun and interactive, and there's not like a grade to them. So you can utilize them at your will. So to go back to the home page. So let's say you just have a quick question. You can't get access to an article. You can always utilize our live chat button here. And you can choose to put in your name or not. You can put in your question. And it can be as specific as you would like, but this is typically used for the quicker questions. So if you're having trouble accessing an article or anything of that nature, you could certainly use this widget, and it will go to an actual person. It will go to one of us, one of the librarians on staff, and we can answer the question for you. This isn't always manned. So for example, today's Friday, so it's only live 11 to 3, but you can still submit a question to the chat if you're not comfortable calling the library. So we have a lot of different ways that you can reach out for help. But let's say you have something more specific in mind. So if you want to get a hold of an actual librarian, you have a research question, you have this big project that you're working on, you're not entirely sure where to look for resources, you can book appointments with us because that is what we're here for. So if you start at the top here and you scroll down to We're Here to Help, it will take you to the chat button again. You can also email the library or call or text. This is just for the library in general. This isn't specific to people. Or you can click Connect with the librarian. And this is organized by department. And you can also do it by liaison team, but department program is going to probably be the easiest way. So if you had a question on art and art history, you have an art history project you're working on, you would get a hold of Mike Duffy. He is the fine arts librarian. So you could either book an appointment with him with this link here. So if I click on that, it'll actually show you the days and times that he's available, and you can go ahead and book an appointment. Or if you don't want to have an appointment, and these can be in person or via WebEx, but if you're more, you just want to like give them a call, or maybe you just want to email them, you can just click on their name and it will bring you their contact information. So that's where you can find us. And now to the nitty gritty of it. Let me just make sure I'm good. Perfect. So like I said, the star of the show, library search, is front and center. This is where you're going to come for all of your academic research. It doesn't have to be just academic. You could be searching for news sources. But this is where you're going to want to start. And this is where we're going to type in our keywords. So if I'm doing research on, let's say, coffee, I'm doing coffee and mental health. No, let's say I'm doing research on something I'm actually researching right now is LGBTQ representation in Shakespeare. I was a lit major, so Shakespeare is my idol. So let's just say I want to find any materials on queer Shakespeare. I can just type in, here, I'll type in Shakespeare. That's a keyword, right? It's a person. 843,000 results. That's way too much for me to sift through. There's a couple different tools you can use. I won't go into depth, but I do want to show these to you. So you can click advanced search. That's not going to take you away from this screen. You have the option to add lines, so you can add keywords. So I know I want to specifically research queer Shakespeare. So along with Shakespeare, I'm going to type in, and maybe that's all I can think of right now. So I press search. 16,000 results. Still a lot, but it's way more narrow than it was before. Now, I'm the kind of person who likes to I like to read books physically. I like to hold them in my hand if I can. So there's ways that I can refine my results here on the left-hand column to just that. So not all 16,000 of these results are going to be housed in the actual library. A lot of these are going to be online resources, or they might have multiple versions of them. But if I scroll down to resource type and click books, 59 results, way more narrow. It's a lot, but that's something I can manage. That's something I can sift through. And this is showing more, this is showing what's available in the library itself because I clicked books. So, oh no, there's some online stuff too. So if I want to make it specific to the library, I can go to the location and I can click general stacks, and that's going to bring you to the actual physical space. So this is what we have available in the library itself that has to do with queer Shakespeare, and that's 31 results. So if I scroll through, see if anything catches my eye, right there, that's perfect. Shakespeare. You just have to click on the title and it will give you all sorts of details on the book. And this is where we come to our call number. Ta-da! Just to highlight this though, this is the name of the book, this is the author, publisher, publication date, and then it will tell you where it's available. If it's something that's available online, it will still say available at, and it will show you the online link down here. Do be sure to sign in first. That's the most common mistake that a lot of people make. I still make that mistake clearly. If you're trying to view something online, you're going to want to sign in first because then it will not grant you access until you do so. But here it says that it's in the general stacks. It's at Waldo Library. I can walk to the library and find this book on the shelves. And the call number is both here and here. What does that mean? It just looks like a bunch of letters and numbers scrambled together, right? Well, it's not. They do have a purpose. No matter how silly it may look, they are intentional, and you don't have to memorize what the letters mean, what the numbers mean. I am going to show you how. I'm going to break it down line by line and show you what they mean. And like I said, you don't have to memorize this, but it might help you recognize that there is method to the madness, that amidst all the chaos, these are not just random letters and numbers scrambled together. They serve a purpose. So call numbers work like an address. They describe the exact location of an item. It does not just have to be a book. It could be a CD. It could be a photo, a government document. Any physical item that's within the library is going to have its own call number. Unfortunately, this means they're not all going to look alike. But for books, they're generally going to have letters first and then numbers after, and then the publication date. So, sure can. So here's the call number. So all I did was click on the title of the book. It popped up here. The call number is going to be in parentheses here as well. But when I click on that, it also takes it down to here. It's just a little bit bigger, more in bold. It might be easier for you to read. So I'll highlight that. Hopefully you can see that a little easier. And it tells me here that there's one copy, but it's available. So I could walk to the library and go get it right now. How do I know where to search for it? How do I know where to go in the stacks to find this call number? Well, we use the Library of Congress classification system. It's a mouthful. There's a whole system to it. We have signs all over the library that describe the LOC classification system, but really just know that it's to describe what these letters mean. So if I were to break this down, I know the P means literatures. So, and I know that because I'm the humanities librarian. I know that this is my specific section. But I want to start off first. You read call numbers left to right and top to bottom. So we know that we read it left to right like this, but it's not going to look like that on the physical item itself, because in the stacks, it's the spine that's facing out. So we have to figure out how to break this up vertically in a way that makes sense, that will match the way it looks on the shelf. And that's going to make it so much easier to find. So if I used a different book example, okay, let's say I'm actually doing research on Greece in the Bronze Age. Super specific. Maybe, and I know I want to use a book that's actually in the library. I want to hold it in my hands. Books. General stacks. Let's see. Let's say I want to choose this one. This seems perfectly relevant to my research. I just click on the title again. Zoom in. I can see the call number here, but I'm going to go down here so it's a little bit bigger. It's right here. Okay. So now we have to break it down line by line. And I am going to break it down when I break it down line by line, I am going to describe what each line represents. By no means do librarians expect you to memorize this. It just helps to understand why call numbers are written the way they are. So if I'm going to break this up, I know that DF, the letters come first. That's always going to be the very first line. So on the spine label, it's actually going to say DF first. There might only be one letter. There's never more than two. So I'm going to type into the chat what this would look like. Just DF. Oh, perfect. Oops. I missed a question. Sorry about that. What does general stacks mean? Did I miss the definition? So general stacks just means it just means the actual physical library shelves in Waldo Library. So when you're like, so let me go back to the search. Maybe I could better explain it by showing. Sorry for the scrolling. Okay. So in the location, we can see that there's 113 books on general stacks. There's some in the 2-hour reserves. That means that it's more than likely going to be behind the circulation desk because it can only be checked out for 2 hours at a time. There's special collections. That's going to be at the Zhang Legacy Center. And if it's a microform, it'd be on the second floor. Maps are on the second floor. The general stacks just means it's something that you can walk to on the actual library shelves and pick it out from the shelf in the library. Hopefully that makes sense. I kind of butchered that. And that means that you'll be able to check it out as well. So because it's not a 2-hour reserve, you will actually be able to walk out of the library with this item. To my book. What was it called? Okay, I think this was the one I was using. Back, I'll zoom in again. Okay, perfect. Let me know if that's too small or if the highlighting just makes it more distracting. So DF220 period H3 1970. Now I got to break this up vertically. So like I said, letters are going to be on the first line. Next comes the next numbers. So DF, we know the letters are on their own line, so we put those first. Then it's 220, and then you'll notice that there's a space and a period. I know that because there's a space, a distinguishable space, that means that indicates the next line. However, there's not always a space right in between these two. Sometimes it just goes 220.H3. The period is also an indicator that of the start of the next line. So after DF, the letters are the first one. I'm going to write 220 because now that we're moving into numbers, that indicates another line. So enter that into the chat. So now we have DF 220. And I know the space and or the period, in this case, both, indicate the third line. So point H3. So how do I know not to include the 1970? We again have this distinguishable space in between the point H3 and the 1970. The last line of a call number is almost always, not always, but almost always the publication date or the year of publication. So in this case, it's 1970. So I know that the third line is point H3, and then the last line will be 1970. So I'm going to enter it as such. And there we have it vertically. Hopefully this is making sense. Always interrupt me. And like I said, not all call numbers are going to look the same, but this is typically what the physical item or the physical call number of a physical book is going to look like. Okay, so let's use another example. So to try to get this into as real of an experience as possible, I also included some photos on my presentation here. So let's say I want to find a book with this call number. I was just researching online and I found this call number and I really want to go find it out in stacks because I think it's going to be relevant to my research. I'm going to type this into the chat just in case the coloring is a little same. So just from looking at this call number, it's pretty different from the Civilization of Greece and the Bronze Age book, right? Like there's a lot more letters and numbers going on here. But it's important to keep in mind that the layout is pretty much the same. So we have, so I put it in the chat. So I have to break this up first, right? That's my first step. This whole long line is not how it's going to be presented on the book itself. So I have to take what I know. Letters come first. They're first on the line. So PS 3613. Then there's a period. There's no space this time in between the period and the number, but there's a period. And I know that distinguishes a third line. So after the letters PS, I'm going to write 3613. That's the second line. And now we have period A2725243. That's a mouthful. That's a lot of numbers. But we know we don't break those up until we get to the in between the 3 and the Z, because there's a distinguishable space. It's kind of hard to see. It's also, it can be easier to tell because after the long string of numbers, there's a letter. So that's another indicator that that's going to start another line. So I'm going to write A2725243. And I know because of the space and because of the letter Z, that's going to start the next line. So I know Z46 is going to be the fourth line. Z46. And there's another space between the 6 and the 2, which indicates that 2019 is the publication year, 2019. So that would be the very last line of my call number. Okay, perfect. I broke it down. This is what it should look like on the spine of the book. So now I'm ready to go out and figure out how to find this in the actual stacks. I'm going to exit out of this one more time. So if you're not familiar with the physical space of Waldo Library, you can go back to the home page on here and click Visit, Waldo Library, scrolling. It will give you examples of rooms and spaces that we have. And you can actually go floor by floor and see what is on each floor. It'll tell you spaces, it'll tell you call numbers. Do I need to know the location and the call number? Knowing both will be helpful, knowing the call number and the location. So if I search that call number on library search, it should say general stacks, and that's how I'm going to know it's physically in the library. And the only reason I'm not showing the call number up on the screen right now is because I don't want to spoil what the title is, because I have photos and I'm going to show you how to figure out which book is which. So I'll get back to that. But yes, it will be helpful to know the location and the call number both. So just by clicking on third floor, it already tells me right here, stacks A through C. So I know the letters A through Z are going to be found on the third floor. It's also going to give me other examples, like there's individual study rooms, graduate student commons, other helpful stuff. But for now, I just want to figure out, okay, where is my book? Where are the P's or the PS's? So we try second floor, D through M. Not quite, but we're getting there. First floor, N and P. So I can take a pretty good educated guess that the first floor is where I'm going to find my book, because my call number starts with PS. So I want to go to the stacks on the first floor and look for P. Now, if you've never set foot in Waldo Library, and if you're a map person, this might be of use to you. You can also download and print these floor maps out. And the main entrance is right over here by the rotunda. The red is going to be the stairs, and then purple icons are the elevators. So when you first walk in, this is the first floor layout. As you can see, the book stacks are all the way in the back. So as soon as you walk in, you just want to walk and walk until you see bookshelves. You'll see the books. And it describes on the layout here where each letter is, but it's not going to be super obvious when you're actually physically walking into the library. So that's where this will come in handy. Oh, pardon me. Okay, so you're in the library. You're walking towards the back where the stacks are. We are starting to use different signage around the library to make it more helpful to understand where you actually are. So we have these big white signs right by the stairs on each floor, the library directory. And it's always going to highlight the floor that you're standing on, the one that you're physically on. So here I'm standing at floor 1. I know that because it's highlighted blue. And each level will tell you what is actually included on there. Kind of like on the website where it said stacks A through C are on level 3. That it says it up here as well. But the helpful thing about the signage is that it will actually indicate which direction you want to walk from that sign. So I'm looking at this sign and it's saying call letters N through P are to the left. So I know from this sign, I just got to take a left and I'm going to find the book stacks. So I do that. I follow the arrows. and I see big rows and rows of books. There's not going to be, there's some pink signs that will say N or will say P or Z that will be hanging from the ceiling, but they're not always easy to identify. You want to look up at the top of the shelves. Almost all of the shelves will have these where they have these little like shelf ends with labels on them that tell you the call number range. So as I'm walking down the rows of the shelves, I see PS to PT. Well, I know my call number starts with PS, right? And I know, so if I look down at the note that I wrote where I broke it down as a spine label, like I did in the chat, I know it goes PS 3613. Okay, so this here says PS 3612 to PT 401. Okay, so I know it has to be in the middle of this range somewhere because it's a PS 3613, but it's not PT. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle of this shelf. So then you would know to turn down that row of shelves. And we're getting warmer. We're getting somewhere. We're getting closer. Just want to make sure I don't miss. Okay. So we're getting closer. So now we can actually look at the spines of the books and see the call numbers on them. So can you see this? I know it's kind of blurry, but I tried to take a close picture so the shelves so there wasn't too many call numbers overwhelming you. Just go ahead and type in the chat if you can't see it very well. So if I start all the way at the left here, Severance by Ling Ma, PS 3613. Okay, so far that matches the call number that we have. Then it goes .A14. That does not match our call number. Our call number's third line is .A2. So I know I have to move to the right because we read call numbers left to right, top to bottom. So this one here doesn't have a call number right on its spine. So before pulling it out to double check, I can look at this one to see if it's in between these two. So here we have PS 3613, that matches. .A272, that matches the beginning of our third line, A272. However, we have 4 more numbers that follow after that. So we know we have to keep moving to the right. So we move to the right, .A2724. So close. We're not quite there yet though, because it doesn't include all of the numbers on the third line. Because we have that whole mass, that A2725243. Okay, so here we encounter 2 more books that don't have the labels right on the spine. Super confusing, right? Before you freak out though, just look to the next book that has the call number displayed to see if you need to just keep moving to the right. So this one is PS 3613 .A27377. Okay, now we've gone too far. We know this because .A273 is bigger than .A272. Even though our number is A2725243, the whole jumble of numbers, we take it one number at a time. So 273 is bigger than 272. So it has to be one of these 2 books that we're looking for. I don't know if you can quite discern from the picture here, but right here, there's this little strip of white in between Dear Body and In the Dream House. And that's where we're going to find the call number. So even though it wasn't on the spine, if we pull out the book, this is just a good example of how labels aren't always in the same spot. Just pull the book out a little bit. Whoops. Okay. And there we'll have it. Front and center, PS 3613, and so on and so forth. And it looks like that definitely matches our call number. Huzzah! We found it. We found our book. Okay, so either you're ready to check it out, or maybe after you look through it, you decide you don't want to use it anymore. That's fine. I just like to point this out because not everybody knows this. This isn't always common sense. If you pull a book off the shelf and you don't want to use it any longer, just throw it in a book bin. Don't throw it. Be nice. Be gentle. But we have multiple book bins hanging out around the shelves, or you could leave it on the closest table, but look for these little book carts that you can place them in. Even if you are sure, like you're like, I took this workshop and I know how to read call numbers, I know where this goes, just put it in the book cart, because we like to scan these items as well to know that they're getting circulation. So even if you know exactly where it goes and you know you'll put it back in the right spot, it'll be helpful to us if you leave it in the book cart, so we know that these books are getting traffic. Patrons are looking at them, whether or not they're checking them out. That makes sense. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. But just to give us a little bit more experience with call numbers, I created a Jamboard activity. So I'm going to paste that into the chat. I'll open it up. Okay. Can everyone see the Jamboard? Were they able to access it, and can you see it on my screen now? Perfect. Okay. So there's just a couple of these. They're not super hard, but it's just to get you thinking about it a little bit and apply what we've learned. So here we have the horizontal call number, PR9387, blah, blah, blah. We're going to try, I'm testing you to see if you can break it down vertically and place just any sort of mark or indicator next to whatever column you think is the correct representation of the horizontal call number. Let's see. Yep, that's it. That's correct. So we know that the letters start first. I try to throw a little bit of a curveball with having PR 9387.9 in the same two columns here, but looks like you got it. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, I provided the call number here. Now I just want you to take the sticky note and fill in the blanks, how it would look. So just go ahead and give it a try. Yep, that's perfect. Yeah, you can go ahead and drag it. Hooray! Got this down. Next one. Okay, now I'm giving it to you vertically as you would see it on the spine label. Now I want you to try and take it from vertical to horizontal. So just rearrange the sticky notes I have here and pull them where you think they belong. So this is how you would see it on the library website. That's exactly it. Top to bottom, left to right. One last one. So here I just want you to make your own sticky notes and arrange the call number as it would be seen on the spine label. So this call number that's right at the top here, just go ahead and make individual sticky notes and make it vertical. Looks like I gave you the long one. A plus. A plus. That is exactly how it would look on the spine label. That's all I have for you. Yep. So that's it that's all I have for the Jamboard activity. I'm going to make sure okay, I'm going to end the recording now. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and speak up or put them in the chat. Thank you for attending. I know it's not easy to show up on a Friday, but we did it. We're here, and hopefully you'll walk away understanding how to read call numbers and navigate the library space.